Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our last Webinar Wednesdays presentation of 2022. Our topic for this month is "'Tis the Season for Scams." So today we'll be talking about holiday scams and other scams that may be affecting Medicare beneficiaries today. My name is Sunny Lawless, and I'm the volunteer coordinator for our SMP programs. And presenting with us today is Shay Lewis and Nathan Coughlin. Both are community outreach specialists for our Georgia SMP. We will be taking questions at the end of the presentation today. There will also be a prize drawing at the end for those of you who were registered for this webinar prior to 10:15 this morning, and the winner must be present. Before we get started, we do have to let you know that this project was supported by a grant from the U.S. Administration for Community Living, Department of Health and Human Services in Washington. Grantees undertaking projects under government sponsorship are encouraged to express freely their findings and conclusions. Points of view or opinions do not therefore necessarily represent official administration for community living policy. So who is Senior Medicare Patrol? Well, SMPs are grant-funded projects of the federal U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the U.S. Administration for Community Living. Every state has an SMP program. In Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi, the SMP programs are sponsored by AdviseWell. And our mission is to empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers to prevent, detect, and report healthcare fraud, errors, and abuse. And we do that through outreach, counseling, and education. And this year, we're celebrating 25 years of the SMP program. All right, so today's presentation, we're going to talk about different scams and some holiday scams that occur during this time of year. I'm going to turn things over to Shay, and she will get us started.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get started and talk about holiday scams. All right, next slide. Cool beans. Okay, so what are some holiday scams? Holidays are the time of year where you're enjoying your loved ones and celebrating holiday cheer. Every year, thousands of people become victims of holiday scams. Scammers can rob you of your hard-earned money, personal information, and at least a festive mood. The two most prevalent holiday scams are non-delivery and non-payment scams. In a non-delivery scam, a buyer pays for goods or services they find online, but those items are never received. Now, for a non-payment scam, this involves goods or services being shipped, but the seller is never paid. Your Medicare number can also be used in a non-delivery scam. If your Medicare number falls into the wrong hands, Medicare could be billed and pay for items or services that you never received. Next slide. According to the Internet Crime Complaint Centers, or the IC3, 2021 report, non-delivery or non-payment scams cost people more than $337 million. Again, $337 million. Credit card fraud accounted for another $173 million in losses. That's a lot of money to lose during the holidays, especially when purchasing these gifts in advance. The IC3 receives a large volume of complaints in the early months of each year, suggesting a correlation between the previous holiday season's shopping scams. Next slide. So we're going to talk about some tips to avoid some holiday scams. So whether you're a buyer or a seller, there are just a few ways you can protect yourself and your wallet with this holiday season. So the first tip is to practice good cybersecurity hygiene. Don't click on any suspicious links or attachments in emails, on websites, or social media. Phishing scams and similar crimes get you to click on links and give your personal information, including your name, your password, and your bank account information. Be wary if a company asks you to update your password or your account information. You want to look up the company's phone number on your own and call the company if you have any suspicious activity. The next tip is to know who you're buying from or selling to. You want to check each website's URL to make sure it's legitimate and secure. A site you're buying from should always have HTTPS with the colon and a slash in the web address. If it doesn't, you don't want to enter your information on that site. If you're purchasing from a company for the first time, you want to do your research and check those reviews. Reviews are always helpful and provides a realistic view of the company's product, customer service, and shipping process. You want to verify the legitimacy of a buyer or seller before moving forward with the purchase. If you're using online marketplace or an auction website, check their feedback rating. Be wary of buyers and sellers with the most unfavorable feedback ratings or no ratings at all. This is a telltale sign. Avoid sellers who act as authorized dealers or factory representatives of popular items in countries where there could be no such big deal, such as your luxury designer purses, jewelry, etc. And you normally see this on Instagram for those particular items. Be wary of sellers who post an auction or an advertisement as if they reside in the United States, then respond to questions by stating that they're out of the country on business, family emergency, or similar reasons. Again, this does happen on Facebook Marketplace and also on Instagram. Avoid buyers who request their purchase by being shipped using a certain amount or method to avoid customs or taxes inside another country. If they aren't utilizing the standard payment methods of Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Apple Pay, or PayPal, please avoid making your purchases for these particular websites. The third tip, you want to be careful of how you pay. Never wire money directly to a seller. Avoid paying for items with prepaid gift cards. In these particular scams, a seller will ask you to send them a gift card number and the PIN. Instead of just using that gift card for your payment, the scammer will steal your funds and you'll never receive your items. Use a credit card when shopping online and check your statements regularly. If you see suspicious transactions, contact your credit card or bank account to dispute those charges. And the last tip to remember is to monitor the shipping process. Always get tracking numbers for items that you buy online so you can make sure that they've been shipped and can follow the delivery process. Be suspicious of any credit card purchases where the address of the card holder does not match the shipping address where you're selling. Always receive the card holder's authorization before shipping any products. And remember, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. We want you to continue to be safe this holiday season shopping for your loved ones. Next slide. Now that you know about some holiday scams, we're going to go ahead and discuss about general scams, what to look out for, and some preventative measures. Next slide. All right, so what is a scam? A scam is defined as a dishonest or fraudulent scheme that attempts to take money or something of value from people. Next slide. There are some various types of scams that seniors need to be aware of, which include the following: government impersonation scams, Medicare impersonator scams, and identity theft. In the next slide, we're going to go ahead and break down some of those common scams that seniors and they're normally targeted for. And the first one is going to be about government impersonator scams. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to track them down and avoid them. Scammers pretend to call you from government agencies, including Social Security Administration, Medicare, and the IRS. Government impersonator scams often start with a call, email, or text message from someone who says they're from the government agency, providing their employee ID number just to sound official. They'll give you some reason why you need to provide your personal information immediately. So if you do experience a call like this, hang up the phone. You already know it's a scammer. Please remember, government agencies won't call, text, or email you and ask you for money or personal information. Repeat this one more time because we talk about this in all of our webinars. Please remember, government agencies won't call, email, or text you, or ask you for money or personal information. If you don't remember anything else from this presentation, please remember this important tip. We're going to go ahead and talk about some important tips to remember in avoiding government impersonation scams. Next slide. So some quick tips to remember: not wiring money, sending cash, or using gift cards or cryptocurrency to pay someone who says they're from the government. Scammers will ask you to send money using these specific payment methods since it's a little bit harder to track money and it's almost impossible to get back. They'll take your money and definitely disappear. Don't give out your financial or your personal information. Don't give any of your financial or personal information to someone who calls, texts, or emails you and they say they're from the government. If you believe a call or a message could be real, you want to stop, hang up the phone, and call that particular government agency directly at their number that you know that it is correct, which you can find on their government website. If you don't know if a website is considered a governmental website, you want to look for a quick specific one, which is called .gov at the end of the website. That's normally very helpful. Don't trust the caller ID. And also don't click on those links and those unexpected emails or text messages. Scammers send emails and text messages that look like they're from a government agency, but they're pretty much designed to steal your money and your personal information. Again, do not click on those links or pass them on to others in those chain messages. Just simply delete the message. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about what happens if you do become a victim of this particular scam. If you do become a victim, you want to go to the Federal Trade Commission, FTC website to report the fraud. They'll guide you to a page and you'll have the opportunity to tell them what happened by reporting the scam, the company, or the unwanted call. It's very helpful. It's very easy to use. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about Medicare impersonator scams. Now, I know everybody has probably seen the good messages of Medicare or a scammer coming through and asking questions, and some people probably haven't answered those calls. Well, when you receive a call, an email, or a text message asking for your Medicare number and to get a new Medicare number or offer you medical Medicare medical equipment, or they ask for your bank information to send you one. We all know that's considered a scam call, and we don't want to have those. On the next slide, we're going to go ahead and discuss how to prevent those particular scams. And again, scammers can sound very professional, stating that they are from Medicare and having your personal information. However, we all know they're trying to steal your money or your Medicare information or even your identity. Next slide. Here are some tips to prevent Medicare impersonator scams. If you get an unexpected phone call, email or text, or even a DM on social media from someone claiming that they're affiliated with Medicare or CMS, do not answer the phone. Chances are that they are a scammer. Don't call them back at the number that was given to you or use the number that showed up in your caller ID. If it is a robocall, don't press any numbers. If you have an email or text message, don't click on any of the links because the links are designed to steal your personal and financial information. It would be best to call 1-800-MEDICARE for questions about your benefits, your card, your Medicare number, or to even report suspicious activity. If you observe your MSN or your EOB statements and notice anything suspicious about your statements, there are several steps that you can take within this situation. First, you'll want to call your doctor's office because medical office representatives can simply make a simple human error mistake in the system with the various health codes and accidentally type in the wrong one in the system. The next step you can do is, if nothing has changed, reach out to our toll-free number at 877-272-8720 to speak with a live representative regarding the situation. Get help to deal with Medicare fraud and abuse at smpresource.org. Or if you have given out your personal information to a scammer, please go to identitytheft.gov for steps that you can take to protect yourself. Next slide. So what is identity theft? Identity theft is defined as the fraudulent acquisition and use of a person's private information, usually for financial gain. Identity thefts could steal your information in various ways, including applying for credit, filing taxes, or receiving medical services. With these acts, they can definitely damage your credit status and cost you time and money to restore your name in good faith. Next slide. Now we're going to talk about how to prevent identity theft. Scammers and thieves are getting very clever as time progresses. So here are some preventative measures to keep in mind when it comes to identity theft. 1, you want to secure your social security number. 2, don't share your personal information. That's including your birthday, social security number, your bank account number, any of that information because someone asked for it. 3, review your credit card or your bank statements and your medical statements as well. You'll be surprised at what you can identify on your quarterly medical statements. 4, store personal information in a safe in your home. And 5, shred receipts, credit card offers, account statements, and expired credit cards. They have many dumpster diver thieves that are always looking for your information through large trash bins. All right, next slide. Now that you know about holiday and general scams, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Nathan, who is going to share the 3 keys to success in preventing fraud, errors, and abuse.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nathan Coughlin. I am a community outreach specialist here in the state of Georgia, and I will be going through our 3 keys to success in preventing fraud, errors, and abuse. Next slide. So our first key is protect. Protect yourself against Medicare fraud. Protecting your personal information is your best defense against healthcare fraud and abuse. We tell people to treat their Medicare card just like they would their credit card, never giving those numbers out. In the wrong hands, a Medicare number can be just as valuable to a thief as a credit card number. So please keep that in mind. As we touched on earlier, remember Medicare will not call you to ask for information or your Medicare number. A lot of these fraudsters will call you pretending to be from Medicare, or they might use a phrase like they're from senior benefits, kind of trying to lead you to believe they're from Medicare. But please do not give that Medicare number out to a stranger over the phone. In fact, we recommend you don't even carry your Medicare card with you unless you need it for a medical appointment. As we mentioned in the previous slides, it helps to keep a record of your medical visits, tests, and procedures in a healthcare journal or calendar. That way you can juxtapose that with what shows on your Medicare summary notices or your explanation of benefits, also called EOBs. Next slide. The second key is detect. Knowing how to spot suspicious activity can help you stop healthcare fraud and abuse in its tracks. Review your Medicare summary notices or explanation of benefits from your insurance company. Your Medicare summary notice is mailed to you by Medicare every 3 months. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you will receive an explanation of benefits after you receive healthcare services. Compare your statements to your personal records and look for the following items. We kind of call these red flags to look out for. Charges for something you didn't get. Billing for the same service or supplies twice. Or services that weren't ordered by your doctor. Even look for things like maybe a doctor's name you don't recognize. A lot of times it's kind of confusing to know with medical billing what's legitimate and what's not. So if you have some questions and you're not sure about that, we will talk momentarily about who you should contact to sort that out. Next slide. The third and final key is report. If you suspect you have been a target of fraud, report it. This will help you and others at risk of healthcare scams. Here are some steps to report suspicious behavior. If you receive a suspicious call, don't give out any personal information. Report the call immediately to us at SMP. You see that hotline number right on your screen, the 877-272-8720. If you have questions about your Medicare statements, you can always call your healthcare provider or plan first. Sometimes billing mistakes happen that aren't purposeful fraud. So if you can call your doctor's office and get it resolved right then and there, you don't necessarily have to call us at SMP if you can get it resolved on that end. If your doctor's office does not give you a satisfactory answer and you still feel like it's something they should fix but they're not willing to, please call the SMP hotline number and we would love to speak with you about it to see how we may be able to provide assistance. And again, if you're not sure, a lot of times you look at the Medicare summary notice, maybe you call your doctor's office up, you're still in your gut, you think something feels a little bit off, call our hotline number and talk with us about it to see we can help you sort out what you should do next and see what your next steps might be into getting that resolved. Next slide. As mentioned in the previous slides, we have that toll-free hotline number, 877-272-8720. We also encourage you to visit our website at www.stopmedicarefraud.org for additional information about our program. We also are on Facebook. We have a Facebook for each state. We have a Georgia Senior Medicare Patrol Facebook, a Louisiana Senior Medicare Patrol Facebook, and a Mississippi Senior Medicare Patrol Facebook. Additionally, if you or your loved ones are primarily Spanish speaking, we do have a Spanish language Facebook page that you can access, and we do encourage you to follow us on those pages. We're always looking to give presentations in the community. So if you feel like our little presentation about how seniors can fight elder scams and healthcare fraud would be beneficial, please call our toll-free hotline number, the 877-272-8720 number, to discuss about us coming to give a presentation directly to your seniors. We can offer those presentations in many parts of the state in person, and we can also do virtual presentations via Zoom, GoToWebinar, or any way we can reach seniors virtually, we are open to. Additionally, we have a YouTube page and we even have a podcast called Sip and Learn with SMP that is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That podcast is really important and goes through a different topic for each episode about scams targeting seniors and their loved ones. Keep in mind, a lot of these scams target seniors, but every day when I'm doing presentations, I talk to people young and old that talk about being victims of scams. So these scammers really try to target anyone they can possibly can. And if those people think they're too smart to get scammed, sometimes they're not. These scammers have something new and something clever. And as soon as we hear about the newest and latest scams, we do post those types of things on our Facebook pages to warn the community about them. I'm going to hand the presentation back over to Ms. Sunny Lawless, and she will conclude our presentation today. Sunny?
Thank you, Nathan and Shay. We do want you to save the date. We will continue with our Webinar Wednesdays presentations in the new year. On Wednesday, January 25th at 10:30 a.m., we are going to start the year off with getting to know your SMP. So just be on the lookout for an invitation in your email box so you can register to attend and join us then. And before I open things up for questions, if anybody has a question, I'm going to go ahead and do our prize drawing. Now, everyone who registered for the webinar prior to 10:15 this morning, your name is on the wheel and we'll give it a spin. And the winner must be present to win, to receive the prize. So if you give me just 1 second, I will launch that wheel and give it a spin. Let's see. All right, here we go. It looks like Miss Maxine, and I do not see where she's here, so we're gonna give it another go. Okay, Miss Rosalind S. All right, it doesn't look like she's here either, so we're just going to continue to spin until we have a winner. Gloria S. Nope. Chris P. Don't see their name either. Okay. Lydia C. No. Kathy L. I don't see her name either. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. We had a lot of folks registered for today. I guess maybe the weather or other things popped up and they were unable to join us. I do not see a Janet, so let's do it again. Oh, Cassie B. Yes, Miss Cassie Broussard, you're on the call. Great. Congratulations. You are our winner for today. So I will reach out to you a little bit later this morning and you'll receive your choice of a $20 Amazon or Walmart e-gift card. So just be on the lookout for an email from me a little bit later and you can let me know which one you want. And we'll certainly get that out to you as soon as possible. All right, let me get back to sharing our screen again. There we go. All right, so I want to go ahead and open things up for questions today. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute your line and you can ask it. Or if you want to go down into the chat, you can ask your question there as well. Let's see, we did have one comment from an individual. PayPal seems to be easily breached. I've had 2 phishing scams on the past 2 weeks and another one about 8 weeks ago, and she's saying she finally canceled her PayPal account. Yes, we have definitely heard of that happening with like those payment sites like PayPal and Venmo. I tell you what, I've also had issues with Apple, and you know, whenever you enter your bank account information or your debit card information, to purchase an app, or long time ago I used to buy music, I guess, and the kids and stuff, but I've had to get 2 brand new debit cards from the bank because my number was breached. And they do it with little tiny amounts of money. It might be like $7.99. It's just some random, but by doing it in such small amounts, I believe that they're hoping that it just goes unnoticed.
And I
If
think
you're
it's important to, keep your passwords, update your passwords, and keep an eye on those bank statements. PayPal is connected to either your bank account or your credit card. And
Yes.
luckily, when you're paying with typically, especially a credit card, there are ways to dispute those charges, and you can dispute them directly with PayPal as well. So, that's why, again, in this presentation, really hit hard. Don't pay through like wiring money or pay through gift cards. Avoid those payments. Scammers love those payments because
They do.
once you send that money and you find out it's a scam, that money is very hard to trace and it's almost impossible to get back. So if someone is asking you to wire them money or asking you to send them gift cards, please pump the brakes before you do that, to be 110% sure who you're dealing with is who they claim to be, even if they're claiming to be someone you know or someone you love. It could be someone impersonating that person.
And especially those gift cards too, because once that money is gone, it's gone. And you can call, you can make a report with law enforcement, but really there's nothing that they can do because it's untraceable. The money it leaves that gift card as soon as possible, and that's it. Let's see, Miss.
That was a very good comment. Just keeping your eye. I'm so glad you were able to catch that in your PayPal. A lot of people that don't even pay attention, like Miss Sunny just said, a little $7.99 charge here, a $9 charge here. It might fly under your radar, but you really want to be checking those statements and checking those accounts if you do have PayPal that your PayPal is connected to.
Yeah. It looks like we have a question real quick from Miss Sandra. Miss Sandra, I've unmuted your line. You just have to unmute your phone and you can ask your question. Let's see. Miss Sandra, it looks like your phone is muted.
She put her hand down.
Well,
Okay.
I think the important thing to point out is even if you don't have any questions for us right now, or maybe you're not comfortable asking in this setting, that 877-272-8720 hotline number, call us directly. You can ask us a question. If that's a more comfortable way of you asking, after the presentation, we can speak with you and answer any concerns or questions you might have about today's presentation or about the SMP program.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you, Nathan. So I don't see any other hands raised or any other questions, so we're going to go ahead and close out today's presentation on holiday scams and other scams that are affecting seniors today. You will receive an email afterwards with a link to a short survey, and we would appreciate it if you would just take a couple of moments to complete that survey so you can let the Administration for Community Living know how we did with today's presentation. And we've also included it in the chat box in case you wanted to complete it a little bit earlier. But thanks again for joining. We really appreciate it, and we hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we will see you all again in January. Thanks, Nathan and Shay.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.